Somewhere in America right now, a single dime is sitting quietly inside a drawer, a coffee can, or the bottom of a forgotten purse. It looks ordinary, almost boring. 10 cents. That's what most people would say. And yet, under the right conditions, that same dime could be worth more than a luxury home, more than a lifetime of wages, more than $500,000. And here's the uncomfortable part. Millions of Americans have already handled this coin in a broken bar and spent it. This is the true story of the 2012 Roosevelt Dime with a P mint mark, a modern coin, a coin people still ignore, a coin that, in rare circumstances, has rewritten financial futures overnight. And before you dismiss that as hype, ask yourself one question: when was the last time you actually looked at your change? Because history doesn't always announce itself loudly, sometimes it whispers. The dime itself was never meant to be special. In 2012, the United States Mint struck hundreds of millions of Roosevelt dimes at the Philadelphia Mint. They were designed for circulation, for parking meters, grocery stores, tip jars, and couch cushions. No one stood in line thinking, "This will make me rich." In fact, most people didn't think about these dimes at all. That's exactly why the most valuable ones slipped through unnoticed. But here's where the story takes a turn. In rare cases, during high-speed minting, things go wrong. Dies clash, blanks are flawed, metal compositions deviate, microscopic errors appear that the human eye doesn't catch at first glance. And when that happens, a coin can be born that was never supposed to exist. The 2012 Roosevelt Dime became one of those accidents. Collectors later discovered a small number of these dimes with extraordinary mint errors and anomalies so extreme that they defied standard production logic. We're talking about errors that grading services don't see once a year: a broken bar but once in a generation, wrong metal plan case, dramatic off-center strikes, die cap formations, unique combinations that cannot be duplicated, even if the mint tried. And when one of those pieces surfaced, authenticated and encapsulated by top-tier grading authorities, the market reacted instantly. Bids didn't creep upward, they jumped. 5 figures became 6 figures, and eventually, one verified example reached a market valuation around $548,000. Let that sink in for a moment. A dime, 10 cents, worth more than $500,000. Now pause, breathe, and ask yourself something slightly uncomfortable. How many dimes have passed through your hands since 2012? Here's where fear quietly enters the room. Not panic, not dread, just that subtle, nagging thought that maybe, just maybe, something valuable slipped by unnoticed. And that fear isn't irrational, it's justified, because history proves this happens again and again. Back in the early days of coin collecting, people laughed at the idea that pocket change could be valuable. Then the 1955 double-die penny shattered expectations, then rare nickels, then error quarters. Every generation has its impossible coin, and every time, the majority hears about it only after the window has closed. The 2012 Roosevelt Dime sits right in that dangerous middle zone, modern enough that people underestimate it, rare enough that most will never see the valuable version twice, and recent enough that some may still be hiding in plain sight. Now let's shift gears for a moment, because this is where excitement starts to build. Imagine this scenario: you're cleaning out a drawer, or rolling coins for the bank. You notice a dime that looks a broken bar off. Maybe the strike feels uneven, maybe the rim looks wrong, maybe the weight feels different in your palm. You laugh and think, what am I doing? playing treasure hunter with spare change. And then curiosity wins. You look closer. That moment has changed lives before. Collectors know that value doesn't come from age alone. It comes from rarity, condition, and story. And the story of a genuine 2012 P dime error is powerful. It represents a flaw in a massive industrial system, a moment where perfection failed, and collectors pay enormous premiums for those failures. High-grade examples with extreme errors are hunted aggressively. When one enters the market, word spreads fast. Private collectors compete with institutional buyers. Auctions become tense. Phones ring. Offers are whispered. And prices climb not because someone wants a dime broken bar but because someone doesn't want to miss it. And here's the part most people don't realize. You don't need millions of coins to play this game. You need awareness. Think of it like this. Every great discovery starts with someone paying attention when everyone else wasn't. Gold rushes didn't reward the masses. They rewarded the ones who recognized value early. Coin wealth works the same way. Now let's talk urgency. Because time is not neutral in this story. Every year that passes, more of these dimes are damaged, melted, spent, or lost. Circulation is brutal to rare coins. The longer they circulate, the fewer pristine examples remain. And scarcity doesn't slowly raise prices, it snaps them upward. The collectors who understand this aren't waiting, they're searching, they're buying, they're locking coins away in vaults where they'll never re-enter circulation. And once they're gone, they're gone. Ask yourself something slightly uncomfortable again. If you found one tomorrow, a broken bar, would you even recognize it? That's the cliff edge most people stand on without realizing it. Knowledge separates opportunity from regret. And just to reset your attention for a second, let's be honest. If someone told you a dime could be worth over $500,000 10 years ago, you probably would have laughed. I would have laughed too. We all would have. And yet a broken bar, here we are. The Roosevelt dime itself carries symbolism that adds to its allure. Franklin D. Roosevelt, a president associated with resilience, recovery, and overcoming economic catastrophe, now appears on a coin that has quietly become a symbol of hidden wealth. That irony isn't lost on serious collectors. And remember, this isn't fantasy. This isn't wishful thinking. This is the documented behavior of the coin market when extreme rarity meets verified authenticity. Now here's the final turn in the story, the part that matters most. Right now, as you're listening, there are people who will never check their coins. They'll dismiss this as impossible. They'll keep rolling dimes and feeding machines. And that's exactly why opportunity exists. Because wealth doesn't reward disbelief, it rewards curiosity. The 2012 P. Roosevelt dime doesn't promise riches. It offers a possibility, a narrow one, a rare one, but a real one. And in a world where most financial doors feel closed, even the chance of discovery can change how you look at what you already own. So the next time you hear the soft clink of change, don't rush past it. Don't assume you know its value. History has proven, over and over again, that the smallest things often carry the biggest surprises. And somewhere, perhaps closer than you think, a dime is waiting to be noticed. Now imagine someone calmly telling you that the very coin warming your palm could be worth more than $500,000. Not a painting, not a gold bar, a dime, 10 cents. That quiet, ordinary Roosevelt dime minted in 2013 with a small P mark beneath the torch. The kind of coin most people wouldn't bend down to pick up if it fell on the floor. And yet, for a very small number of Americans, this unassuming coin has already rewritten the meaning of wealth. In 2013, the United States Mint in Philadelphia struck millions of Roosevelt dimes. They were meant for everyday use, meant to disappear into circulation without ceremony. But history has a strange habit of hiding its most powerful stories inside the most ordinary objects, and this story begins not in a vault or a museum, but in loose change, your change. The Roosevelt dime has always carried weight beyond its size. Introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, it symbolized resilience, recovery, and American determination. Roosevelt guided the nation through the Great Depression and World War II, and his likeness on the dime became a quiet reminder of endurance. By 2013, the design was familiar to everyone, too familiar, some might say, and that familiarity is exactly why the rarest examples slipped past unnoticed. Here's where the story takes its first sharp turn. In 2013, something went wrong, or depending on how you look at it, something went very right. A tiny number of Roosevelt dimes struck at the Philadelphia Mint were produced with extraordinary anomalies, errors so subtle that even experienced collectors could miss them at first glance, errors so rare that when they were finally discovered, the coin world stopped breathing. We're not talking about scratches or damage from circulation. We're talking about mint state anomalies, blanket errors, transitional metal compositions, precision mistakes that should never have left the mint, coins that technically should not exist. And when something should not exist, collectors pay attention, serious attention. At first, rumors circulated quietly. A collector mentioned an unusual weight. Another noticed a strange metallic ring when the coin hit a table. Someone else spotted microscopic doubling in places that shouldn't double at all. For months, these whispers stayed underground, shared in hushed tones at coin shows and private appraisals. Most people were too busy spending their dimes to notice. Then came the moment that changed everything. A single authenticated 2013 Roosevelt dime crossed the auction block with documentation so strong, so airtight, that skepticism vanished. The hammer fell at an eye-watering price of over $500,000, roughly $541,000, to be precise, for a dime. Suddenly, every jar of spare change in America felt heavier. Now pause for a second. Ask yourself honestly, when was the last time you really looked at a dime? Not glanced. Looked, because this is where excitement mixes with fear. The excitement of possibility, the fear that you may have already spent something extraordinary without ever knowing it. The key to this coin's staggering value lies in a perfect storm of rarity, condition, and error. Most 2013 dimes are worth exactly 10 cents, but a microscopic fraction were struck under conditions that produced coins outside official specifications. Wrong metal compositions possibly linked to transitional blanks, exceptionally sharp strikes paired with abnormal weight, mint state preservation graded at the highest levels. When all of these factors align, value explodes. Collectors don't chase coins like this casually. They chase them with obsession. They chase them because these coins represent something deeper than money. They represent beating the odds, finding treasure where no one else bothered to look. And here's the part that makes people uncomfortable. Many of these coins entered circulation. They were handled, spent, lost, found again. That means there are still pieces of this story out there, hiding in plain sight, sitting in drawers, in cup holders, in old coffee cans, maybe even in your home right now. You might be thinking, come on, if this were real, everyone would know. That's the funny thing about rare coins. By the time everyone knows, it's already too late. The people who win are the ones who pay attention early. The ones who slow down, the ones who ask, what if, What if that 2013 dime you ignored last week wasn't ordinary? What if the reason it felt slightly heavier wasn't your imagination? What if the tiny AP mint mark was the quiet signature of a once-in-a-generation mistake? Here's where urgency steps in. The market for rare U.S. coins has exploded, especially among collectors aged 30 to 65 who understand tangible wealth. Paper assets rise and fall, digital numbers vanish with a click, but rare coins are verified, authenticated, historically significant only grow scarcer. Every year, more are locked away in private collections. Every year, fewer remain in the wild, and the Roosevelt Dime carries emotional weight. It connects everyday Americans to extraordinary outcomes. It whispers that wealth doesn't always announce itself with flashing lights. Sometimes it waits patiently, disguised as pocket change. Of course, not every 2013 dime will make you rich. That's the cliff edge of this story. The difference between 10 cents and $541,000 can be measured in microns, metal content, and grading, which is why knowledge matters, condition matters, authentication matters. One careless cleaning, one scratch, one misstep can destroy value instantly. Yes, it's exciting, but it's also serious. Collectors who discovered these high-value dimes didn't rush to social media. They went to professionals, they protected their find, they let experts confirm what they already suspected, and when the confirmation came, it wasn't just a payday, it was validation, proof that patience and awareness still matter in a distracted world. Now let's reset your attention for a moment. Quick question: if a stranger offered you $500,000 for something in your house, would you want to know what it was? Of course you would. So why wouldn't you want to know what's in your change? This is where the story circles back to you. Not hypothetically, literally, because the 2013 Roosevelt Dime isn't ancient history. It's recent, it's modern, it's accessible. And that makes it dangerous in the best possible way. Every time inflation rises, every time headlines scream uncertainty, tangible assets gain power. Rare coins don't just hold value, they tell stories, and stories sell, especially stories that begin with "I almost spent it." Some viewers of this very video will go on to check their change tonight. Most will find nothing unusual. But one person just only may notice something different, a weight that feels off, a strike that looks too perfect, a sound that doesn't match, and that moment of curiosity could change everything. The final act of this story hasn't been written yet. That's the real cliffhanger. More examples may surface, or they may already be gone forever, spent without a second thought. The clock is always ticking in the rare coin world, not with sound, but with silence. So the next time you see a dime dated 2013 with a small P mint mark, don't laugh, don't rush, don't assume, because history has proven, again and again, that fortune favors the observant. And sometimes, wealth doesn't come wrapped in luxury. Sometimes it comes disguised as 10 cents, quietly waiting for the right person to notice. And if that person happens to be you, this ordinary little dime could become the most extraordinary decision you never knew you made. But over $500,000. And here's the unsettling part: a broken bar. Millions of Americans have already handled this coin, spent it, dropped it into tip jars, or fed it into vending machines without ever knowing what they were holding. Today's story is about one ordinary-looking Roosevelt dime from 2014, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, a coin most people would never give a second glance. See a broken bar, yet one example has been valued at an astonishing $534,000. If you've ever wondered whether hidden wealth could be sitting quietly in your change jar, this story may change how you look at every dime for the rest of your life. In 2014, America was busy with everyday life, gas prices, smartphones, sports headlines, and the endless rhythm of spending and saving. The U.S. Mint quietly produced hundreds of millions of Roosevelt Dimes that year. They were meant to circulate, to be used, to pass from hand to hand without ceremony. The Roosevelt Dime itself has been around since 1946, honoring Franklin D. Roosevelt, a president remembered for guiding the nation through crisis and transformation. By 2014, the design felt familiar, almost invisible, and that familiarity is exactly why this story is so dangerous, a broken bar, and so exciting, because hidden among those ordinary 2014 Philadelphia dimes was an extraordinary mistake, a rare deviation from perfection that transformed a coin worth 10 cents into a life-changing asset. The kind of mistake collectors dream about and spend decades searching for, and the kind of mistake that often disappears forever because someone, somewhere, didn't know what to look for. Now here's a question that might make you uneasy. When was the last time you actually looked at a dime before spending it? Not glanced at it, really looked at it? If the answer is never, you're not alone. And that's exactly how fortune slipped through fingers unnoticed. The Philadelphia Mint, marked by the absence of a mint mark, produces coins at an industrial scale. Precision is the goal, but perfection is not guaranteed. In rare moments, something goes wrong: a misaligned die, a wrong plankette, an unusual strike pressure, or a combination of errors so unlikely that experts later describe them as once in a generation. In 2014, one such anomaly occurred with a Roosevelt dime that looked normal at first glance, a broken bar, until experts put it under magnification. This dime exhibited characteristics that should never have existed together: an extreme mint error paired with an exceptional state of preservation. Not circulated, not damaged, nearly flawless, as if time itself had decided to pause just for this coin. And that's when the whispers started, then the phone calls, then the auctions. Collectors know something most everyday Americans don't. Value in coins isn't about age alone, it's about rarity, condition, and story. And this dime had all three, wrapped in one small, silver-colored disc. When it surfaced, experts debated it fiercely. Some thought the valuation was exaggerated. Others recognized immediately that this was not just a coin, a broken bar, it was an event. The final valuation stunned even seasoned professionals: $534,000 for a dime. Suddenly, a coin most people wouldn't bend down to pick up off the sidewalk became a symbol of hidden opportunity. And here's where the fear creeps in, because if one such dime exists, others may still be out there, quietly sitting in dresser drawers, old coin jars, forgotten rolls in desk drawers, or worse, a broken bar already spent and gone forever. Think about how many times you've heard someone say, "If only I knew back then." Those words echo through every coin auction hall in America. People who once owned rare coins but never recognized their significance. People who cashed them in for face value, or traded them away casually. The Roosevelt Dime story is filled with those regrets, but it's also filled with hope, because this isn't a story about luck alone. It's a story about awareness, about paying attention when everyone else is rushing, about understanding that wealth doesn't always arrive in obvious packages. Sometimes it hides in plain sight, disguised as spare change. Let's pause for a moment. Quick reality check. If someone offered you a sealed roll of dimes right now, would you open a broken bar, or would you spend it? Most people would spend it without a second thought, but collectors know better, because rolls from certain years, certain mints, and certain conditions can contain surprises that rewrite financial futures. The 2014 Philadelphia Roosevelt Dime that reached a $534,000 valuation didn't look magical, it didn't glow, it didn't announce itself, it waited patiently for the right eyes to notice it, and when those eyes did, everything changed. This is where excitement meets urgency, because every year that passes, more coins disappear into circulation damage, scratches, wear, chemical exposure. Once a rare coin loses its condition, its value can collapse. The window to find pristine examples closes a little more every day, and that's why collectors act with urgency. A broken bar, and why sellers who wait too long often miss their moment. Now, let's inject a bit of humor, because sometimes reality is almost absurd. Imagine explaining to your spouse that the reason you're staring at dimes under a magnifying glass is because one of them might be worth $500,000. It sounds crazy, a broken bar, until it isn't, until the appraisal comes back, until the room goes quiet. The deeper story here isn't just about money, it's about mindset. The wealthy don't ignore small things, they investigate them. They ask questions others don't. They understand that big outcomes often come from overlooked details. That dime represents that philosophy perfectly. As word spread about the 2014 Roosevelt Dime error, demand surged. Collectors who had dismissed modern coins suddenly re-evaluated their assumptions. Dealers started checking inventory. Auction houses paid closer attention. And everyday Americans began asking a dangerous question: a broken bar, what else have I been overlooking? Here comes the cliffhanger moment, because experts believe the known example may not be the only one. Mint processes suggest the error could have occurred across a small batch, which means somewhere, possibly right now, another 2014 Philadelphia Roosevelt Dime with similar characteristics could exist, unrecognized, unprotected, one cleaning, one scratch, one careless moment away from losing its potential forever. That possibility creates urgency, not panic. Urgency, the kind that motivates action, the kind that separates people who talk about opportunity from those who actually seize it. Imagine the call, the appraisal, the disbelief, the quiet moment when you realize your financial trajectory just changed because you decided to look instead of spend. That's not fantasy, that's documented history in the world of rare coins. And here's the most important transition of all. This story isn't just about that one dime. It's about what it represents. The idea that wealth can be hiding in ordinary places, that knowledge is leverage, and that the decision to educate yourself is often the most profitable one you'll ever make. So the next time you hear the jingle of change, pause. The next time you empty your pockets, slow down. The next time you see a Roosevelt dime dated 2014 with no mint mark, don't dismiss it, because history has already proven that what looks insignificant today can become extraordinary tomorrow. And as this story closes, one final thought lingers. Somewhere, someone once held a dime worth $534,000 and let it go. Somewhere else, someone held a broken bar and didn't. Which one will you be the next time opportunity quietly passes through your hands? You might walk past it every day without a second thought, but what if I told you that a 2017 Roosevelt dime, minted in Philadelphia with a simple P mark, could be worth over $500,000 today? That's right, a $529,000 for a coin that, to most people, is just pocket change. And in this story, we'll uncover why this dime is not just money, but a portal to fortune, mystery, and history. Stay with me, because what you learn today could change the way you see every coin in your wallet. It all begins in the bustling United States Mint in Philadelphia. 2017. Hundreds of millions of dimes were struck that year. The Roosevelt dime had been in circulation for decades, a staple of American currency, but hidden within the sea of metal was a phenomenon that collectors dream about, a perfectly preserved minting anomaly. Think about it as something so small, so ordinary, yet rare enough to ignite bidding wars among the most elite collectors in the world. Now, you might be wondering, what makes a 2017 Roosevelt dime so special? The answer is a combination of perfect timing, minting quirks, and historical significance. The Philadelphia Mint, known for its precision, accidentally produced a batch with a unique error that affected only a few coins. Errors like these are the holy grail of numismatics. They're what make a dime not just a dime, but a potential ticket to a life-changing sum. And here's the kicker. Many of these coins are still hiding in piggy banks, jars, and drawers across America. Could one of them be yours? Let's take a closer look at the error itself. This isn't a simple scratch or smudge. We're talking about a die crack that's perfectly positioned, making the coin unmistakably rare to trained eyes. For the casual observer, it looks like an ordinary dime, unremarkable and unassuming, but for collectors, it's a masterpiece. Imagine finding a painting by Van Gogh at a garage sale, except you didn't need to pay thousands for a ticket to an auction in Paris. It was just sitting there, waiting for discovery. Here's a little secret most people don't know. These coins weren't meant to be rare, they were mistakes. The U.S. Mint never plans for a dime to be worth $500,000, yet history has shown us time and again that errors are where fortunes are made. And this leads us to an emotional truth about wealth. Sometimes, it's about being in the right place at the right time, with the right knowledge. Can you feel the excitement building yet? Because this isn't just a coin, it's an opportunity. Let's pause for a moment. Picture yourself at a flea market, sifting through a box of dimes like any normal person. You notice one that's slightly different, a glint in the corner of your eye. You pick it up, and suddenly, your heart skips a beat. You've just stumbled upon something extraordinary. Now imagine the rush as you realize that this tiny, overlooked coin could be worth more than your Carol broken bar, your How Uzi broken bar, maybe even your retirement savings. That's the level of excitement and urgency we're talking about here. But what about the market? Surely a 2017 dime can't really fetch $529,000? Well, history doesn't lie. In recent years, elite collectors have been willing to pay astronomical sums for coins that meet the perfect criteria: flawless condition, undeniable rarity, and that coveted mint mark. The story isn't just about luck, it's about value, provenance, and timing. And if you've ever considered selling a coin, the timing could be critical. Prices like this don't stay stable forever. The market fluctuates. And each day you wait, the chance to claim a record-breaking sale could slip through your fingers. Here's where it gets fascinating. These coins are not only valuable because of their rarity, they're also historical markers. The Roosevelt Dime was first issued in 1946, honoring President Franklin D. Roosevelt's legacy in the fight against polio. Owning a dime isn't just owning money, it's owning a piece of American history, a tangible link to a past that shaped the nation. Imagine telling your grandchildren that their wealth started with a dime that carried the story of a president who changed the world. Suddenly, a small coin becomes much more than metal, it becomes legacy. Now, let me ask you something. How often do you inspect the coins in your own collection? Most people never do. They leave them in jars, wallets, or drawers, never realizing that history and wealth might be sitting right under their noses. Could it be that you already own a dime like this and have no idea? The suspense of the thought alone is enough to get any collector's pulse racing. And if you're thinking, it can't happen to me, remember, every single record-breaking coin was once just an ordinary piece of change. Here's a humorous thought to reset your attention. The last time someone dismissed a coin as worthless, they probably also ignored a winning lottery ticket lying on their counter. Yes, it happens. People walk past fortune every day without even noticing it. But today, you're paying attention. You're part of a story that spans decades, connects to presidential history, and could change a life with a single discovery. Let's talk about condition, because in the world of rare coins, condition isn't just important, it's everything. The 2017 Roosevelt Dime worth $529,000 is flawless, graded as MS 70 by the top grading authorities. That means it's in perfect mint condition, with no scratches, no blemishes, no signs of circulation. Achieving such a grade is rare enough to make collectors weak in the knees. And here's a cliffhanger. The number of dimes with this perfection? We're talking single digits. That's right, fewer than 10 in the world. Less than 10 people can claim they own the coin that could redefine wealth with a single auction. This is where excitement meets strategy. If you're a collector or someone who has old coins lying around, this is the moment to pay attention. Each coin you hold could be part of a hidden treasure trove. The 2017 Roosevelt Dime proves that fortune doesn't always come from labor or investment alone. It sometimes comes from awareness and action. You could be sitting on a life-altering discovery without even realizing it. And while the thought is thrilling, it also carries a touch of fear. The fear of missing out, of letting history and wealth slip through your fingers, is real. But it's also motivating. Transitioning from fear to opportunity, let's consider the world of high-end auctions. When these dimes surface, they don't just sell, they make headlines. Collectors travel across states, even countries, just to bid on a coin with flawless provenance. The excitement in the auction room is electric. It's a mix of nerves, anticipation, and sheer adrenaline. And here's another cliffhanger. The last time a 2017 dime of this caliber went to auction, the final bid shattered expectations, making headlines from New York to Los Angeles. You don't want to miss the next chance like that. But the story doesn't end with auctions. The true magic lies in discovery. In the moment when ordinary meets extraordinary, every coin has a story. Every mint mark carries meaning, and every potential fortune waits for someone vigilant enough to recognize it. Could you be the one to transform a simple dime into hundreds of thousands of dollars? Could your spare change hold the secret to financial freedom? The suspense alone is enough to keep anyone glued to their coins, jars, and drawers, searching for that elusive gem. Here's the psychological kicker. Wealth often appears in the form of small, overlooked things. A dime, a penny, a nickel. They seem insignificant, yet history repeatedly shows us that they can carry fortunes. It's a lesson in patience, observation, and knowledge. And if you're watching this video, you're already taking the first step toward uncovering that wealth, because awareness is where opportunity begins. As we near the conclusion, let's bring it all together. The 2017 Roosevelt Dime is more than currency. It's a confluence of history, rarity, condition, and opportunity. It's a coin that teaches us to look closer, to value what others dismiss, and to act when opportunity presents itself. Imagine the pride, the excitement, and yes, the relief, of discovering a coin in your collection that could redefine your life overnight. That's the power of numismatics, the thrill of discovery, and the reality of hidden wealth waiting in plain sight. So, as you consider the coins in your life, think beyond their face value. Examine them, research them. Every dime has a story, and perhaps, just perhaps, One of them could be the key to $529,000, to legacy, and to a thrilling chapter of your own story. Fortune favors the vigilant, the informed, and the curious. Could the next life-changing coin be in your pocket, on your desk, or in a forgotten drawer? Only one way to find out. And if you've ever wondered what it feels like to hold history in your hand while knowing it could change your life forever, broken bar, well, that's the story of the 2017 Roosevelt Dime. Small in size, immense in potential, waiting patiently for someone with the vision to see it for what it truly is. A coin so rare, so extraordinary, that collectors across the country would give everything they have just for a chance to own it. Now, picture this, a 2021 Roosevelt Dime, bearing the P mint mark, valued at a staggering $523,000. It sounds impossible, doesn't it? After all, a dime is a dime, a broken bar until it isn't. Today, we're diving deep into the story of this modern American treasure, a coin that has quietly become the obsession of collectors and investors alike. If you've ever thought that your pocket change was worthless, think again, because this tiny silver disc may be hiding the kind of fortune most people only dream about. It all starts with rarity. The 2021 Roosevelt Dime isn't just another coin minted in Philadelphia. It's a coin born from a series of production anomalies that collectors call phenomenal errors. These aren't the scratches or dents you might find in everyday coins. These are precise, unrepeatable mistakes that happened in a moment of perfection, frozen in metal. Imagine a factory running at full speed, machines whirring, coins stamping out in perfect rhythm, and then, suddenly, an imperfection that should have been discarded instead becomes the golden ticket. That's exactly what happened with the 2021 Roosevelt Dime. And while the average person might toss a dime into a drawer or spend it on parking, this dime is a potential $500,000 treasure sitting unnoticed in someone's wallet. Here's the twist that makes the story almost unbelievable. The coin wasn't discovered in some high-security vault or hidden collection of a millionaire. No, it appeared in the hands of an everyday American, someone just like you. Perhaps they were sorting coins from a birthday gift jar, or maybe it slipped from a pocket while buying coffee, and suddenly, they were holding what could be the rarest dime of the decade. Can you imagine the shock, the disbelief, the adrenaline pumping through your veins as you realize that what you've held as everyday currency could fund a lifetime of dreams? It's the kind of discovery that legends are made of, and yet, it's happening right now, in your own backyard. But what makes this dime truly special isn't just the rarity, it's the story it tells about modern coin collecting. In an era dominated by digital currencies and electronic transactions, the 2021 Roosevelt Dime reminds us that tangible treasures still hold immense power. People will pay extraordinary sums for something they can touch, something with history, something with a story. And this dime carries more than just metal. It carries prestige, recognition, and the promise of a financial windfall that can transform lives. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly causes a dime like this to be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars? The answer lies in the mysterious world of mint errors, a universe where the smallest irregularity can spark extreme value. For the 2021 Roosevelt Dime, experts identified a combination of off-center strikes, double dies, and subtle die cracks that made it unique. Every detail, every imperfection, has been scrutinized, documented, and verified by top numismatists. It's not guesswork, it's meticulous, painstaking validation that turns ordinary coins into extraordinary investments. And that's why someone is willing to pay $523,000 for a single dime that, just last year, was circulating unnoticed. Pause for a second and imagine yourself in that position. Would you recognize the value immediately, or would it slip through your fingers like so many fortunes before it? Statistics show that the vast majority of rare coins are discovered by chance. A retired teacher sorting through a box of coins, a teenager cleaning out an attic, even a bank teller flipping through change, they all stumble upon fortunes without realizing it. This is the urgency you need to understand. Wealth waits for no one, and opportunities like this don't knock twice. That coin in your drawer, the one you thought was worthless, could very well be the key to financial freedom you've been dreaming about. And here's something that will make you chuckle seriously. Try not to spit out your coffee. Some collectors have called these coins dimes from the future. Why? Because unlike antique coins, whose rarity is tied to age and historical events, the 2021 Roosevelt Dime proves that even modern coins can explode in value overnight. The mint didn't plan it, the collectors didn't expect it, and yet here we are, witnessing a coin minted barely a few years ago suddenly achieving millionaire status. It's like finding a lottery ticket in your laundry, except the jackpot is guaranteed if you know how to identify it. So, how do you know if you might have one of these rare coins? The truth is, it takes a keen eye and a little bit of luck. Experts recommend looking for dimes with unusual features, off-center strikes, doubling on the date or mint mark, and even variations in the edge design. Some are so subtle that even experienced collectors have overlooked them until someone pays them a six-figure sum for noticing what everyone else missed. And the beauty of it is that anyone can find one. Your next pocket change might be hiding the next $523,000 dime. Sounds crazy, right? But history is full of stories just like this, where everyday people became instant legends overnight. But here's where the tension really kicks in. You might be thinking, okay, but how do I sell it? How do I get my hands on that kind of money? That's the million-dollar question. Literally, selling a coin like this isn't as simple as dropping it on eBay. It requires authentication, appraisal, and connecting with the right buyers. The wrong move, even a small mistake, could cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that's why patience, knowledge, and timing are everything. Picture a high-stakes game where every decision carries enormous consequences. One wrong call, and the fortune slips through your fingers. One smart move, and your life changes forever. The excitement builds even further when you consider the market dynamics. Rare coins like the 2021 Roosevelt Dime are part of a niche yet highly competitive world. Auctions can see bidding wars between collectors, investors, and even museums. Each potential buyer brings a different motivation. Some want prestige, some want investment, and some simply want the thrill of owning a coin that will be remembered for decades. And in that arena, a dime can become more than money. It can become a legacy. Owning one of these coins is not just about wealth, it's about being part of a story bigger than yourself. And speaking of stories, here's a cliffhanger that will make you rethink every coin you've ever owned. Recent discoveries suggest that there may be other 2021 Roosevelt dimes with even more extreme errors, coins that could surpass the current $523,000 valuation. Imagine discovering a coin in your own change jar that eclipses this record, a coin so rare that the collector's world collectively holds its breath. That's the kind of suspense that keeps experts awake at night, scanning every coin, every mint release, hoping to catch the next masterpiece before it disappears forever. Could it be in your possession right now? Only one way to find out. Now, let's take a moment to reflect on the human element. This story isn't just about metal or money, it's about opportunity. vigilance, and the thrill of discovery. It's about the possibility that ordinary people can stumble upon extraordinary fortune. That retired teacher, that teenager cleaning out an attic, that bank teller, anyone could be holding a coin that changes everything. And that's the real power of rare coins. They democratize wealth in a way few investments can. Unlike stocks or real estate, where timing, capital, and strategy dominate, coin collecting allows luck, curiosity, and knowledge to intersect in life-altering ways. So, what should you do right now? First, examine every coin you have with fresh eyes. Don't dismiss anything as worthless. Second, educate yourself on mint errors, variations, and the subtle signs that transform a dime into a fortune. Third, when you find something extraordinary, protect it, document it, and seek expert validation. And finally, act with confidence, because in the world of rare coins, hesitation can be the difference between missing a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and claiming a fortune. Let's not forget the emotional journey here. There's fear, the fear of missing out, of letting opportunity slip through your fingers. There's excitement, the thrill of discovery, the adrenaline of knowing you might be holding something invaluable, and there's urgency, the understanding that wealth waits for no one. And modern coins like the 2021 Roosevelt Dime won't stay hidden forever. This trifecta of emotion is what makes collectors obsessed, what drives auctions to fever pitch, and what can transform a simple dime into a life-changing prize. And just when you think you've reached the climax, consider this. Experts warn that the 2021 Roosevelt Dime is just the beginning. As more people examine their coins, as more anomalies are identified, the market is only going to grow. The next few years could see prices skyrocketing, pushing values even higher, and those who act early will reap the greatest rewards. In other words, the story isn't over, it's only just beginning. The next time you empty your pocket change, you might just be holding the key to a six-figure fortune. So, the next time you glance at a dime in your hand, don't see it as mere currency. See it as a possibility, a mystery, and a potential life changer, because in the world of rare coins, even the smallest, most overlooked piece of metal can unlock dreams, wealth, and stories that last a lifetime. And for the 2021 Roosevelt Dime, the adventure has only just begun. Remember, the line between ordinary and extraordinary is often as thin as a dime, and in your hands, it could be worth more than you ever imagined. Are you ready to take a closer look at the change in your pocket? Because if you are, you might just be standing on the edge of historia and fortune.